exclamation points. So for Fausti, like, he's complimenting his own play through and through. He's, you got to back yourself, and he quite literally has what's behind him supporting his chess. And here we have this is a monster matchup between Duda and Lazavik. I guess Duda drew against Magsudlu.
He did, and that means that we have 3 players now in 6.5. It's Duda, Niemann, and Magsudlu.
Okay, so Hans does join the party after his win over Arjun. Lazavik would like to leapfrog Duda. He'd have to beat him in this game. And for Denis Lazavik, he played the Petrov, which is known to be quite a solid opening that actually does suit his style quite well. And Lazavik, this is known, he strikes with this pawn push. By the way, Duda plays the Petrov as well. So when you see these top-level games, it's like competing against an opening you're very familiar with. That can be uncomfortable, or you can kind of be salivating, just saying, oh, I got this. I know the little tricks here that can get my opponent. And that pawn push, which looked so natural, apparently is not correct. It's hard to fault that decision just now from Denis Lazavik, because if you can, why not push your pawns forward? Those look quite nice. But maybe he's creating some weaknesses in his position that will not be easy to keep defended. Now that this pawn is here, you might need to bring your bishop out. So there's a very clear way, a clear immediate path to defend all those pawns. And it looks like Duda's first move was labeled incorrect by the engine, but I like it. I think it's the very human choice. And right now, great coordination from the white side for Jan-Krzysztof Duda, and for Denis Lazavik, he needs to complete his development, which he may do on this turn. He may bring this bishop. It's currently sitting at home. It can develop, maybe do a passive square, but that would allow, or encourage, I should say, this knight jump into the position. I wouldn't love the sight of that. You can also pin this knight, maybe even take that knight over here that will double and isolate white's pawns. But double pawns, open files, and that's exactly what Duda would like to see. So I think that Denis has committed himself to an insecure pawn chain. He's striking forward while he can, but he's creating holes. When you push pawns, you leave squares behind. Pushing this pawn here, one square I'm noting is this one. The white knight at some point can try to jump into it. This pawn in the center, it's defended for now, but if the bishop ever attacks the knight, that pawn can become loose. So I really like the way he started this. The bishop can join the party, attacking the center. I think this position is much, much easier to play from the white side. So I would prefer to have Jan-Krzysztof Duda's position. And he is in first in the tournament, and he would love nothing more than to beat Denis Lazavik and continue pressing for first place. Jan-Krzysztof Duda, this is really just up his wheelhouse, a perfect type of position for him to play. And for Denis Lazavik, he knows he needs activity. So I actually do appreciate what he's putting down right now. He wants desperately to open up the flank where the white king resides, and he brings his rook up. Next is this pawn. If white stops the push, black reinforces it. Maybe I have to change my mind a little bit. I do think that Denis is playing some really nice chess at this stage, but there's something about the harmony of white's pieces that we can't take for granted. White's pieces all have a purpose right now. The rook and the queen are aligned, putting pressure on black center. The other rook is on the only fully open file. The bishop on the light squares attacking a weak point. The bishop on the dark squares trying to remove the defender of that weak point. The knight doing its great job, a noble steed indeed. It is blockading a backwards pawn. So knights are the best blockading pieces. And here it stops black's pawn in its track and looks over it. And whoa, we see the evaluation completely switch. And I wonder if there's an in-between move that was just played, and now the recapturing, things are opening up. The engines, those human destroyers, they're saying that it is all in Denis Lazavik's favor. And I actually think from a human perspective as well, it becomes very clear that there is a pin in this position that looks quite menacing. This rook can join that party, and I'm going to start using different colors here, but you can see that Duda might feel blue in a moment with all of the pressure in the center of the board. So Denis Lazavik, completely unfazed. He is somebody who can switch from strategic to tactical chess in a flurry, and he might flourish in this game. He is doing really well.
You're strong with the wordplays, Robert. I'm really appreciating it. But just to give you a quick update, because Parham and Hans both have 6.5 points, where Parham is pushing with black pieces against Hans, but more importantly, he's a minute and a half ahead on the clock.
Parham, okay. Yeah. Parham is doing some serious work. We, in the final stretch of this tournament, we'll definitely look into Parham's games, because he's a great player, even when he's not in specific tournament, but in this tournament, he's been only stopped by a half point from Jan-Krzysztof Duda. So Parham, that game looks like still quite a lot of life left to it, but yeah, he looks like he's in great shape.
Yeah, and right now we just saw Hans equaling the position on the evaluation bar, but still, it's the time advantage for Parham.
Always have to factor that in. Like in this game right now, we say that Black is doing well on the board. Black also has a little bit more time, but I will say that while the Hans game against Parham, that's going down into the end game stages, this one is much more life left to it. And I do want to remind myself more than everybody, not just because I'm selfish and I only care about me, but I forgot for a second that in this game, Duda is actually up a pawn. So if he is able to stabilize, to keep that knight that is pinned defended, and then move his queen out of that pin, he may find himself very soon in a better position. It's hard a couple moves ago to maybe believe that, but I think Duda believes in his chess. And right now he should believe in his position because he's just trying to trade off pieces. When you are head material, you often do want to trade, and he's no longer pinned. Well, he is no longer pinned on the diagonal, but he is pinned on the file. That knight should not be moving, at least in the next few turns. And also there's a problem down here. So the knight is kind of stuck for now, but it's ultra well defended, and that's a good move from Denis.
I love these little tidbits of statistics that show up at times. So Duda and Lazavik, their internal record is 11 wins for Duda, 8 draws, and 13 wins for Lazavik. It does surprise me. I know how good Lazavik is, but it still does surprise me that he has a head-to-head win against Duda.
Yeah, because Duda is such a mammoth of the game. So I think that for Lazavik, this is another example of so many that show just how strong he is, and that he at first he was considered like the upstart, the teenager, the one who is kind of like trying to throw the world of chess into a bit of chaos with his victories. Now he's here, and he's been here, and he's going to remain here at the top level. Think about what he did in the Speed Chess Championship, beating Hikaru Nakamura, right? That's something that very few people have done, not named Magnus Carlsen or Alireza Firouzja. In fact, he's the third person to do it.
And I was so impressed with him as well, because I remember the kid that showed up for the Champions Chess Tour final in Toronto some years back. When he was a surprise qualifier for that one, he was quite shy. He was a little insecure with the language, with just playing over the board, because we got to remember, I mean, he's a Belarusian. He has been heavily affected with the war and and his chances to play over the board tournaments. And he's playing most of his games on a computer, and then showing up playing over the board, seeing the Speed Chess Championship, the vocal, outgoing, socially strong, and so confident Lazavik we have right now.
Yeah, and he honestly shared more than most chess players do about how playing in person, like there was that psychological edge that he felt he didn't have. But he's a growing individual, right? He's still quite young. With experience may come confidence. And well, I mean, this game, speaking of experience, I think Duda did the experience thing of giving up his queen for a rook and a bishop, because right now, quick material count, Black has a queen, White has rook, knight, and 2 pawns. Whose king is safer? That's up for debate. But this Black king is out in the open, hard to get to it. The White king looks surrounded by pawns, but it is vulnerable to some diagonals. Only one side has a piece that moves diagonally, that's the Black queen. So if this Black queen, I'm just going to draw some random arrows, can get here, or now where it's trying to go, well, this is dangerous all of a sudden. You see Duda, he's running for the hills, but he walked right into something that should not work, because look at what Lazavik did. He zigs and zags, and he keeps the White king in a mating net, and I think that's game over. There's nothing that White can do, maybe give up a rook or something, that stops this checkmate in 1 threat. And if he pushes his pawn, it's going to stop checkmate in 1, but walks into checkmate in 2. And you can see it on Duda's face. It's registering. He knows that he is not walking out of this alive. Oh, and his time is going down. He was using that. He's in disbelief right now. He is just beside himself. As we see the top, Jose Martinez, Jocelyn wins to go to 7 out of 8. That's somebody who's going to leapfrog Duda if Duda does in fact lose this game, which it looks like he's about to.
And also Max Hüttler and Niemann has drawn.
Okay, so they drew, which that's the best news possible for Lazavik. He's going to jump into a tie for first place. And Lazavik, I mean, he is pouncing all over the White king right now. There might even be a time where he gives up his rook for a knight. But actually, Lazavik, he hasn't won the game yet. And now he's down to 16 seconds. So Duda is fighting this brilliantly, I should say. And he could even take a pawn over here. He didn't do that. He was worried about his own king. But at some point, Duda just needs to put his foot on the gas pedal and say, I'm going to objectively be worse this whole time. Let me just try to flag you. And Lazavik down under 10 seconds. He avoided a fork on the back rank. He has to watch out. If a check happens, it lands there, that would be a win all of a sudden for white. He's a draw by repetition. That just happened. The time saved Jan-Krzysztof Duda.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. And that's why you want to have a lead on the clock.
But was it, I mean, yeah, 7 seconds left. I guess there was no chance of actually going into it.
The coordination is what saved him. Like Duda put all his pieces on like